hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I thank the clouds that I'm free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, slip and get up. Thinking about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, quick tail catching up. Born into that trench mind, niggas had no straight mind. Only thing we know is break a bitch and push that bread line. Head be filled with crazy shit like shorty, had my head tied like bitch. So now you ain't coming to me about no bedtime. Ain't no keep it real, I really feel like the pressure is really on me. I know pressure is a bitch, but I don't let feelings control me. I know I've been getting cold and my niggas was flaking on me. So I had to bet some bitches at some parties. But don't blame me for it, don't blame me for it. I'm too cheap for it. Just watch me going, no brakes. Just keep top speed flooring. Bless me, test me, line me up, I know that I'm the next thing. Praying till don't catch me and arrest me. Hope that every night I make it in my best sleep. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I thank the clouds that I'm free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I thank the clouds that I'm free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, slip and get up. Even about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, control catching up. Alright, I ain't resist, but don't take my chain. No, you can't search my shit. Know how it goes. These just praying that shit. Give me my chance before my grave is dig. Bless me, test me, line me up, I know that I'm the next thing. Praying till don't catch me and arrest me. Hope that every night I make it in my best sleep. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I thank the clouds that I'm free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, slip and get up. Thinking about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, quick tail catching up. Catching up.
Hey, family. Mic check. How do my mic sound? My mic sound okay? Because it's like when you go to sleep at night, your system does an all-time update, and you come back and you have to uh, do things. Um, how do I sound? Hey, Empress, my Lisa, Enats. Finally, I'm to a clear understanding that Enats is actually a guy. For a couple of years, I thought Enats right here was a girl. I used to talk, but he never responded as though he's not a girl. And finally, he comes out, Sister Bethy, I'm a dude. I had no clue. I'm glad I didn't tell him no secrets, no womanly secrets. You know how you have your girl talk. And I think he probably knew I thought he was a girl and wanted to listen to see if he could get some inside secrets of women. But I'm telling y'all, for about 2 years now, I think Enoch's may have been, I really thought he was a girl. Because I would salute sister, and he never, ever said anything. Finally, he came out and he put up a thumbnail. And I'm probably not the only one who thought he was a girl. And finally, he has up. Hey, Just Jasmine. Hi, St. Louis. Hey, now. Good morning. I hope y'all got y'all's coffee and tea. Bridget. Hey, D. Allen Warren. Oh, man. I hope y'all got most hated. Hey, original intellect. Then my stomach hurt too this morning. Hey, David. First one up in here, bright and shiny. Oh, man. Yeah. So now we have that madness. We know Enoch is a male. Okay. Thanks. I'm glad I didn't tell him no inside women's secrets. Ah. Anyway, damn it, I miss Bruce Sanchez. I haven't seen him in about a month. I've been so quiet. My stomach hurt. Ugh. That acid reflux just be killing me. But I'm stubborn. I'm going to eat anyway. So Willie and I yesterday, because y'all know men don't do shit on their own. A lot of important stuff. You know, you have to make your doctor's appointment because they won't never go. I don't know why that is. Hi, Renee. I don't know why men are like that. They just will not go to the doctors. They won't unless we make the appointments. And so this year, I pledge because I get my annual and I'm just going to start scheduling our annuals together. He can have his own separate doctor, be in the same practice. But that's important. You know, it is. We don't got to take medicine because I don't take medicine. I don't take nobody's medicine. I watch too many Chinese movies to know not to take the antidote. Get your laugh on. Chinese people teach me a lot. And I'm telling you, watching Chinese movies, they teach me a lot. They always be like Chinese people in their movies. One thing I learned about Chinese people, they will slap the crap out of you. You will get 40 lashes and don't take the antidote, the poison. I love watching Asian movies. Speaking of that, while it's fresh on my mind, we are no longer doing the math crap because I'm not into no meta shit anyway. I'm sorry, but I want to do more interesting things that is even more beneficial to people. And one thing about the classes that we take, all are welcome, really. So in February, we're going to be tutored by a professional company. Shout out to Waya for sponsoring this whole thing. We're going to be tutored by a professional company, tutoring company. Not from the one we just finished algebra with. We have a whole nother different company. And it takes time to, you know, move around to find like the perfect tutoring company. So, and these are licensed teachers from states and everything. So we have agreed to another tutoring company. We want to learn another language. You know, when I was in high school, the main thing was learn Spanish. I want to learn some real stuff that's going to be beneficial. And I think Chinese Mandarin is excellent language to learn. So we're starting that in February, but we're only taking 10 qualified students. All right. So far, and you must pay $30 a month because we have to pay the damn tutor. People think you take the class and you don't have a responsibility. It's all about being responsible and doing responsible things with your money. Bethy. Okay, whatever. But it's $30 a month. You're learning another tough language. Okay. And I want to enhance my ability to communicate with Asians that speak Mandarin Chinese. Okay. And it's great to learn Mandarin Chinese because think about it. Chinese people have been in our communities. They was in our communities before Puerto Ricans was. I'm keeping it a buck. Seriously. And grew up with us. They've been in our communities all our lives. Asians. They were here with us, doing business with and for us for years. They always own the nail salons, the Chinese restaurants, the spas, and in modern day terms, those are plantations that they work on and they provide those services. So they're serving the public. Back then, they called them slave jobs. Believe it or not. Oh, we getting a reality check today. And it's great to be able to sit down and communicate with the people that's been in your community for years. They're not mean to me. I was listening to Smoke Channel this morning at Root Word and all of them, quite a few of them, and I'm just watching the chat room now. Like I told you, I don't jump up on the panels no more, but I listen because we have to study our communities for where their mindsets are and where they are and how they act. And unfortunately, I find that men in our era are so immature. The damnedest things come out their mouth, and their hate for their own women and their hate for um, coexisting with other races. And I don't like that. And you learn you don't even have to say anything in the chat. You really don't. You could just study and say, well, I thank God that I'm not like a lot of people and I don't think like a lot of people. You know, foreigners been in our country for umpteen years. And and to just be miserable online on third shift talking about the businesses that foreigners establish over here, I can't do it. I can't. And I feel good not to be a part of that mindset. I rather just focus on getting people to do positive things that's going to impact their life. And they can pass that on down and share it with other people in the community. I'll be damned if I won't be in that Mandarin class because I want to learn how to talk like Chinese people. I do. When I'm not on YouTube and I want free mind. And by the way, please don't send me no text today because I'm just gonna delete it and not read it. I don't want to be bothered today. I will get back to you and respond to you when I can. Okay? I don't just stop doing what I'm doing because your ass been away for a few years or months and now you want to reestablish. Now you're gonna wait in line for Sister Bethy. Okay? Serious. So don't do it. You send me a text, I'm just gonna delete it and not even read this shit. Anyway, I enjoy um embracing and communicating with other people. I heard some very interesting things, some very hurtful things that I don't have to repeat. And it all got down to the conversation got down to um, just bashing the women of their community and our likes and dislikes. Like when you get your hair done, doing your hair and putting on eyelashes and makeup, it's an art. It's an art. I wear eyelashes sometimes on my lives, like I have on now, because I can do it. And I wear them because I like them. It's not about me impressing some other man. I like them. To be perfectly honest with you, Willie does not like eyelashes. He doesn't. But I like them. And he likes them me without them or with them on. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. And that's what I like about him because he's supportive of a lot of things that I do. I like art. I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't now wearing things on my skin. I can't wear even if I wanted to because it's not good to wear things on your skin. Makeup products and things like I'll wear lipstick. That's it. All the other stuff I can't do it because my skin is sensitive. But there's nothing wrong with the art of beauty. There you go. All right, Empress. Okay. See, I didn't even know that. Cleopatra invented eyeliner. Oh, that's so interesting to know. That's interesting. Thanks, Bab. Thank you, Bab. So I want to, again, I won't go into detail on the hate that some of our men have for their own women and are bitter and angry. I expect that out of high school age men, but unfortunately, Generation X is heavily dated with downgrading women and men in different types of religious beliefs. Like, um, you have our men that are in those religious beliefs where the woman must be inferior to him, walk behind him, don't open your mouth, you have no voice. I get that, but you can't expect women like myself to abide by that. It's never going to work with me. And I'm very happy to have been raised in the North. And I really wish the North and South thing really sees. It's like a lot of our men from the South have great hate from our men from the North. And our men from the North have great hate for them, saying they're slow, they're a bunch of guineas and slow dudes. And I just can't stand that type of talk amongst our men. And it's been going on like that for years with the men and women back and forth with the South hate against the North hate. I'm a product of the North, and I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to grow up in the North and have take advantage of opportunities that so many of our people say we don't have. It has nothing to do with me being a butt kisser of the white man. It doesn't. And I just cannot engage in that community because I've learned the hard, long way to deal with people based on the individual. I don't care what your race is. Um, there's a lot of talk about Middle Eastern people, whether they're Asian or from India or from any of the foreign countries in the Middle East, Arabs. Here in the North, where I live, and for years, I've never had bad encounter with people from Asian culture, people from India, they've always been pleasant to me. Arabs in the gas station, always been pleasant to me. 7-Elevens, they've always been pleasant to me. And some people have had bad experiences with them, but I do know that Asian people being in our community for years don't really flip out on you or give you a bad shoulder unless you've done something to offend them or continuously offend them. Now, I have witnessed our people when they're ordering food from them that they're very rude to them. And there's no, and even going in the gas station, arrogance, sitting and standing in line, watching somebody argue with an Arab person regarding gas. Now, some instances there's language barriers, and I've witnessed our people be so cruel to them. I'm like, okay, it's obvious somebody can't understand what you're saying, but it doesn't mean to be rude to them. Help them out. Let me tell you something. I go in Arab Station, 7-Eleven, and sometimes my dumb butt, because I'll run down the street to get my cigarettes or gas and forget my damn purse. And I was like, oh my goodness, I left my purse home. I'll be back. Just leave my stuff on the counter. And they're like, hey, no, why do you want to run home? I said, I left my purse home, and I thought he didn't understand me. You pay me tomorrow or whenever. You come here all the time. Why would I make you go all the way home? I'm like, no, it's okay. So, and that's very real. They're very real with that. If ever I need like gas to fill up or cigarettes, they'll tell me, oh, you can pay me tomorrow. Don't worry about it when you get paid. They are so nice to me. And I always say, I tell them that I really appreciate it, but no, I don't need it. I'm just going to take my little Russian butt back home, rushing out the house and get my purse. But I do know that if anything ever happened where I'm severely financially strapped, okay, that opportunity is there. And that's a fact. So I treat people with kindness. And I don't like joining cult-like groups in our community that pledge against people that have businesses in our country. Not their fault that they got a business in our country. It's not their fault that they want to come over here and make money. It's really not. The problem I have is with the illegal immigrants, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there. But other than that, I love people for who they are individually, whether they're from India, whether they're from China, whether they're Arabs, because these are people, you got to understand, we had Arabs that were born here that are actually legal citizens. And people from India that are actually born here that are legal citizens. They're not illegal. And I don't like treating people mean. I don't. I do not like treating people mean. There's Jews here that have been here for years that are born here. I don't like treating people mean. Okay? And so you're not going to get that out of me. You're not going to get that type of support from me. Because these are people who I have to face and work with every day of my life, whether it's in the public or at work. And I don't like treating people mean. Now, yeah, I know I check people at the door. I don't have to get, me. I don't have a problem checking people at the door. But just genuinely, I'm not a mean person to encounter. I'm approachable. And I like all people for who they are. Not because some racist group says that we shouldn't. I'm not part of those communities. So that's why I tend to do a lot of things on my own. But anyway, you should email me if I think I'm going to move it to March at this point. But you should email me. And I don't give a damn what your race is. Let me put this in here. Okay. That's my email that I'm going to put. Hey, Denise. Hi, Michael. I'm going to pin this to the top because if you're interested, all right. So we're only looking for 8 people, more people, because we already got 2 definites, myself and a trooper in my tribe who love learning like I do. So the door, we only have openings for learning how to speak Chinese Mandarin. I think it's an amazing language. And I was talking to this Chinese dude yesterday, and he said, "You're going to learn that?" I'm like, "Yes." Hello, Miss Aboriginal Turtle, Yellowhammer Swakey, Amani Beautiful, Denise the Beautiful and Sexy Denise. Hey, y'all. And Sexy Amani. Yo, I met Amani in person. You would think that she's just like bigger girl, like tall, or she's this little teeny person. She's a tiny woman with a cute little shape, with a cute little tushy, and she's so little, but her voice is huge. She has a powerful voice, but she's this little tiny woman with a little shape, cute little shape. She's this tiny little woman, but that mouth is powerful. And she is the diva she is. What? Rocky is going to whoop your butt. Yeah, you a shorty, but you're still teeny. She is. I'm taller. If I'm taller than somebody, that means you short. Because I'm 5'2". I'm every bit of 5'2". And yes, she is a shorty, but she's teeny. She really is, and adorable. So, we're taking this Chinese Mandarin class in March because we got to give folks time enough to arrange their budgets. Because I'm taller than you. I think you lost an inch because I was looking over your head when you came out to South Carolina. You're a little tiny woman. She little. Hi, Michael. Anyway, so hey, Tara. So what we need 8 more students if they're interested, and you must be willing to pay $30 a month for how long the course is. And it's all kinds of benefits that comes with this tutoring, access to different pages and stuff. And I'm so excited about getting ready to learn Chinese Mandarin. I wish that was an elective in high school. I would have took that instead of Spanish and French, because they offered those type. But Chinese Mandarin, oh, that's a whole different ball game. And I love challenging courses. I love challenging courses because it makes me work hard. I like challenging things. And I'm really excited. I spoke to this Chinese guy. He's literally from China. And I asked him, I said, "Do you speak Chinese Mandarin?" He said, "I speak both Chinese Mandarin." And I was letting him know, that I'm taking that up with a group of people online and, Zoom. We have a tutor coming in to teach us. And he was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yes." He said, "You want to learn that?" I said, "Yes." Because there's you can go a long way with learning another language, and you can do a lot. You can help them a lot, and you can in turn teach Chinese people how to speak English because we've been speaking it all our life. So I look at the benefit package coming in, and it's just awesome. So if you're interested in learning, you must be willing to pay the $30 a month because we have to pay the tutoring company. That's how they get paid. And they come into our community in a confined Zoom room and teach us with Blackboard and everything. And I just absolutely love it. So if you are interested, okay, we only need 8 more people. And I got a feeling that Probably 4 of my tribe members will hit up on that. But we don't give a damn what your race is. We don't care. Our service is for all. So you hit that link, okay? And you must turn on your camera. We got to be professional. If you can't turn your camera on in a professional world, then you need not take this class. Seriously. You must be on time and you must be dedicated. The class is once a week. And if you can't commit to once a week on time, all right, and your $30 a month of payment to the tutoring company, then please don't bother us with your excuses and just not being reliable and responsible. We're promoting growth. Now, we took the math, algebra. That was an exciting experience. It was fun and funny. And here's what you should have grasped out of that. Not only did you learn Algebra 1, you got your refresher, it took you way back, but you understand what it's for, its purpose, and you also learned that you can become a tutor. Oh yeah, online yourself. You can start your own LLC tutoring company. Do you know how many people across the world want to understand our language and understand? You know how many children across the world, there are people in this world who wants their child to catch up in math and spelling and reading. Like, I'm a reader, so I know eventually I'm going to have my reading class because I love to read, and I love to teach language, making sentences and making people understand the sentence. So I'm going to be very good at tutoring in those two courses. So I know eventually when I retire that those are things I'm going to focus on. I'm very good at teaching children math, and I'm very good at teaching children sentences. If you're from the 1970s, okay, and you're a child of the 1970s growing up in elementary school like I was, you are the best natural teachers of reading, writing, and basic math. And you don't even realize that. You can be compensated and charged for your services. And I'd say don't get no more than 6 to 10 students in your tutoring class online. If you're going to get students, don't pile it up and be greedy with the 20 student classroom. Some of you are really good at that, 20 students. I say stick to 6 to 10 students at best for teaching online. That's a great skill to have. And this is where we miss out on. You have the skills, you just don't know how to apply them to society. So not everybody's a good teacher. Me, I've always been told that I'm a great teacher when it comes to, my daughter told me, she said, "Ma, you're really good at math. You made me understand math." Yeah, I did. Damn right. And I love teaching reading and sentences, making sense, language. So that's that. So anyone interested, hit that link and email me and let me know. Don't play with me telling me you want to do it, and then I reserve your spot and then you click out. I don't need that type of behavior. Some of you do it just to be deceitful, but that's okay. That's just one on you. Okay? Don't sign up for our Chinese Mandarin class if you're not serious. This is for any race of people. I don't give a damn if you're from India, if you're from Arabic, white, Mexican. I don't give a damn what your race is. If you're interested, this is the public services that Wyatt provides. I'm teaching you how to navigate, and you can do things for yourself and start and do what I'm doing, getting people together to do things constructively with you. So if you're interested in that, hit that link at pinned to the top of our chat room and email me, and I'll reserve your spot. I'm very serious about learning Chinese Mandarin. Like I said, I always told people I love Asian culture. Always did. And that's a fact. And a lot of Asians are surprised when they hear stuff like that. They don't realize it because they get an ugly one-sided story about us. They always just get the hood stories about us, but not the real stories about us. So we're here to live it and tell it itself. And one thing about Asians, I can tell you this: when they find out you want to learn something and do something in their culture, oh my goodness, they're so willing and they want you to learn. They're so excited. Do you know how long Asians have been trying to connect with mainland Indians here in North America to work with them? Years, years. They tried so many methods of reaching out to us, like dancing like us on TikTok. They're just trying to reach out. But instead of us looking at them trying to reach out and connect with us, we take it as, oh, them mother effers is trying to learn how we dance and act like us. You should be proud of that. I don't see it that way. So I just have to look at things differently. If I don't look at things from negative mindsets, I'm never going to excel in what I want to do in life. So you got to pull yourself away from negative minded people. That's the one rule you got to learn. You can't allow people to drag you into their miserable thoughts. And that's a fact. So our classrooms are professional, online, and we don't bull crap around. We come in there and we, no matter who we are, we're brothers and sisters learning something. So Chinese Mandarin is hot today. It's hot. It's a great tool to learn, great language to learn. So yeah, I know, Sammy. I watch their movies on Netflix. Willie's like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I love it. I watch I don't play the games, but I love the music. I love the Chinese flute. Talking about something to make you cry and warm inside. And their movies on Netflix, all the karate flicks. Right now, all their movies on Netflix, they be having like 50 and 60 episodes. And I sit there and watch all of them. They make me cry. The only thing is I would like Asians to do on Netflix is give us the opportunity to hit the love button so they can recommend more, but they need to give us an opportunity to respond to their movies. Maybe it's on YouTube and I don't see it, but so we could write recommendations because I love their movies, but a lot of them are sad endings and it promotes too much suicide. I don't like that. That's the only thing I don't like. It promotes suicide too much because when you're watching Asian movies, you could really start believing like they believe, like in the next life, I hope to meet you. And people, and I really believe certain people on YouTube have been affected by that. They become delusional and think they have superpowers and they begin teaching you things. And some people that have been on my panel, I really believe that they probably were in a mental health facility locked up in chains. But they're very smart. They're just locked up in chains or they're in jail. And they get into what you call psychosis, not being able to control their mind. So you have to be very careful when you're watching Asian movies, because I learned that when you do watch Asian movies, you learn a lot about your own culture. That's point blank. When you study other people's culture, whether it's Asian, India, whatever, whoever's culture, Russian, you got to start studying Russian culture and Germany culture. You learn a lot And a lot of answers about your own very North American Indian culture are answered. The answers to our hidden cultures are in other people's cultures. You learn more about your history by learning foreigners' history. That's how you learn who exactly the hell you are, and that's a fact. So that's another thing you got to understand. So again, I won't keep rambling. Let's hit the link if you're interested in registering in the Chinese Mandarin class. Like I said, we got 2 people already. So that only leave 8 seats open. Okay, be responsible. Pay the damn $30 a month. That ain't shit. $30 a month for each individual because they take groups of 10 where they pay one price a month. So it turns out to be like $30 a month for what they charge. And you'll see all of that in the invoice and everything. And I think it's damn well worth it. It truly is. You're learning Chinese Mandarin. Okay. I'm excited. I can't wait. We're looking to start it in March. The next thing, let's get it. Wow, I already got a email response. Okay. I look forward to your response. Somebody hit me up in the email. So let's get into it. Listen. IRS. I knew this was going to happen. I was accused of some PPP loan by someone. I think it was Beast Mode. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I never knew what it was. But the PPP loan, a hot mess. This is real. The IRS is not playing. They are coming after people who fill out applications for those PPP loans. And they're coming for you now. And people are going to jail. They're getting like 30, 40-year terms. But that's what you get for scamming and scheming. Seriously. They're coming for you. And I'm glad that the IRS is doing this. I am so glad that the IRS is doing this. They was not playing. The IRS was not playing when they said that they're going to start coming after people. And shout out to them because those are our tax dollars. They were trying to help the communities during COVID and mass frauds. It's so many you can't. It's unimaginable. And now the IRS is geared up. It's a mess. Let's get into it, y'all. Smash that like button. So we're gonna cover in this segment PPP loan madness, Social Security number fraud, and then we're gonna move into the non-population schedules and study them and see how much valuable information you get out of it. So let's get it. Again, the IRS is coming for you. Fraud alert. You got to know it. The PPP means the Paycheck Protection Program. That's what PPP is. I had to look this up. The Paycheck Protection Program was a loan program that provided funds to small businesses and nonprofits to help them keep their employees during the COVID pandemic. The purpose of it. The PPP was created by the Coronavirus Relief and forgivable loans to small businesses to cover payroll costs, including benefits for up to 8 weeks. The loan could also be used to pay for mortgage interest, rent, utilities, worker protection costs related to COVID. 19. Uninsured property damage costs caused by looting or vandalism during 2020. Remember all this, y'all. And certain supplier costs and expenses for operations. I ain't apply for none of this. Eligibility and the end date. Eligibility applicants had to meet certain criteria, including being in operation on February 15, 2020, having paid employees or paid independent contractors. The end date of the PPP ended on May 31st, 2021, but existing borrowers may still be eligible for loan forgiveness. Now, to qualify for forgiveness, borrowers had to use the loan proceeds to cover payroll costs and most mortgage interest, rent, and utility costs over the 8-week period after the loan is made. They had to maintain employee and compensation levels, cap payroll costs at $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee. And the loan terms were deferred for 6 months. Now, I do know each state um like offered, you know, people to be paid if they had COVID or da da da. My state, which was really cool. And I don't think that was taking advantage of the federal program at all. And I thought that was really cool that they did that, seeing that we were hit with such a horrible thing. So now who's handling this investigation? And it's ongoing because there's so many people that were involved with the scandal. You and I remember that, hearing rumors in YouTube how people in our community were taking people in the back in Zooms and in the back of YouTube, teaching them how to scan to get these damn loans. And now the IRS is coming for their asses. They're coming for them. And I'm so glad. I hope they're caught, because I hate when people take our vulnerable people that's broke and struggling behind the scenes and teach them how to scam for a fee, a donation fee, to teach them how to scam. That person should be just as guilty and taken to prison. That's evil, man. But the IRS criminal investigation, which is the IRS-CI, is responsible for investigating financial crimes, including PPP loan fraud. So this specific division, the IRS-CI, is part of the IRS. It's part of the IRS. And its special agents are the only federal law enforcement agents with the authority to investigate violations of the Internal Revenue Code. This unit is not only are they investigating these PPP loan frauds, but they're investigating these UCC folks that's teaching you and YouTube to create these straw mans and all that stuff. Oh, they're coming. They're coming. And I hope they come hard on you. I call it the more paperwork scam, the sovereign paperwork scam. Now it's going, they're going hard in 2025. They're coming. Even if you think you got a little case, they're coming for you. And I salute them for this, because I hate people that teach this fraudulent scam work of removing yourself as a citizen, coming in as an EIN number as a corporation, and just doing evil stuff. They're screwing your life up. So, as far as the Social Security fraud, they're coming for y'all. Let me tell you something. I could take this off for a minute. They're coming for y'all. You women and men that are giving illegal immigrants your Social Security numbers to work, and they pay you a certain amount of money when they get their paychecks, just so that they can use your Social Security number to work. The IRS is coming for you now, because that immigrant is going to give you up for doing it. Now you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You sisters that got them nursing licenses and CNA licenses, they're coming for you. Because a lot of these chicks are foreign doing this. They're letting their cousins come in from different parts of the United States to use their Social Security number to work CNA jobs. And the IRS is now coming after you because you were so stupid and working 80 hours. Let me see, 16-hour. Your body is in New York being a CNA, where you're using your cousin's Social Security number and being her, and using them in Connecticut. They're coming for you now, because now you got to prove how you were at your employer for first shift in New York and first shift in Connecticut. They're coming for you. And you guys really thought they were stupid. You men doing the same thing, letting your friends from different parts of the United States and the surrounding territories come in and use your Social Security number to get jobs. Because they're going to want to know, how are you a stock boy working at ShopRite, big chain grocery stores, on first shift, and then do a second shift, and still at the same time in another town over working first shift? How is your body in three places at one time? The IRS is coming for you now. This is the year. This 2025 is the cleanup year, because they're let on to your wicked ways. Now you're going to pay the consequences. So don't try and run and shave shit now. You can't. You can run, but you can't hide. Now you can run back to the islands, better not come back, because they're going to come and get y'all. They're coming for you. They already did that in Connecticut. Dude got deported and his butt came back under a different fake name, using somebody else's Social Security number that he made arrangement. Now he in prison. 30 years. How dumb is that? He came back. They're coming for you. IRS is not playing. And this is this all goes hand in hand with the mass deportation. Y'all out of here, man. And they mad about it. This is why all this chaos is going on, because of the mass deportation. So they're coming for you with the Social Security fraud. You ain't got away. You just think you did. But that's how the IRS operate. They wait 5 and 6 years later, then they come for you. Scary. That's why I don't fucking get no grants and loans and stuff. No. So here we go. We're gonna then dive, after we finish out the PPP loan arrest. We're gonna watch a video, 2 videos, and it's a PPP loan fraud arrest, and then the Trump mass deportation updates. So let's get it, y'all. Give me 1 second, and we're gonna watch a video. So give me a second to transition to the video. Be right back. Okay, here we go. Let's get it with the fraud arrest. I just want to make sure I got it up and it's big. Let's get it, y'all. PPP loan fraud. Fair use. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Crestwood Drive today and charged her with 4 counts of.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Armed FBI agents arrested Chandler Wilson Carroll at her home on Crestwood Drive today and charged her with 4 counts of wire fraud and 4 counts of money laundering. According to an indictment, she's accused of using her businesses to receive Paycheck Protection Program and economic injury disaster loans totaling more than $2 million, and then allegedly using it to purchase cars, jewelry, and real estate. Carroll pleaded not guilty to those charges today. Her first court appearance will be on May 21st. This is a developing story. We'll have any updates over at KATV.com.
Off tonight, this former Charlotte Wells Fargo worker accused in a massive fraud scheme, netting more than $900,000.
And prosecutors say the woman was a fraud analyst with the bank. Channel 9's government reporter Joe Bruno is live outside of the federal courthouse in Uptown for us tonight, where she faced a judge for the first time today. Joe.
Well, this is all PPP money, the money that was supposed to go to businesses to help them keep employees and prevent layoffs. Prosecutors say this Charlotte woman scheme resulted in nearly $1 million going to ineligible borrowers.
This is Tamika Harris. She's a fraud analyst now facing 17 fraud charges of her own. Prosecutors say the former Wells Fargo employee and current USAA contractor worked with her boyfriend and an employee of another bank to fraudulently obtain nearly $1 million in COVID-19 relief funds by submitting fraudulent PPP loan applications. That's money intended to help small businesses keep and retain employees during the pandemic. U.S. Attorney Dina King told me 11 people in our area alone have been charged with PPP fraud.
I think, unfortunately, it's pretty prevalent.
According to federal court documents, prosecutors say Harris would charge between $2,000 and $5,000 for her assistance in filling out false and fraudulent PPP loans. She's accused of creating counterfeit IRS forms for non-existent businesses and inflating the income for real ones. The indictment says she submitted more than 30 of those applications and documents, totaling more than $900,000. In federal court today, Harris was given bond. Each of the 17 counts she's facing carries up to 20 years in prison. King says it is important to pursue these cases to protect taxpayer money and send a message to others thinking of doing anything similar.
We want to send a message of deterrence out into the community to any individuals that would be fraudsters who think this as an easy way for them to get rich quick.
Her boyfriend, Cedric Lee Benton, is due in court tomorrow. Another suspect, Shavandra Michelle White, has not been arrested, but a warrant is out for her arrest, Genevieve.
And Joe, as you mentioned, her boyfriend is due in court tomorrow. What is he accused of doing?
Well, Benton has a prior conviction, and prosecutors say that he submitted 2 fraudulent PPP loan applications with fake or forged IRS forms or income he supposedly lost while he was in prison. Reporting live in Uptown Charlotte, I'm Joe Bruno, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Joe, thank you.
They do that is a lot of them, in a lot of cases, a lot of them get together with, I know that's not going to sound right, but they get together with legitimate financial lenders who are crooked, and that's who were approving. They was fast tracking that money. They didn't look into it. It's ridiculous.
Today is the deadline for a former beauty school owner to surrender to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Janola Muskakui was convicted for making false statements to a federal agency in connection with an application for a CARES Act loan. She received over $700,000 in funding. Federal prosecutors say she used $250,000 for a down payment on the purchase of a home mortgage payments, and payments to friends and family, as well as padding her retirement and personal investment accounts. She is expected to serve a year in prison and pay $250,000 in restitution. Tonight, as KSLA News 12's Dominique Ben reports, the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Louisiana says more arrests like these are coming.
It was just a month ago that United States Attorney for the Western District of Louisiana, Brandon Brown, announced 24 people indicted on CARES Act fraud. And in an interview with KSLA, he says he's not done.
We've gotten great feedback from the community, great feedback out of Washington, and we're not done. We're not done. I promise you, we're not done.
While the latest indictments for PPP fraud are allegedly connected to criminal activity, he says criminals are getting smarter in the way they fund activities.
Drug investigations, for example, they will get craftier on how they stay covert, how they clean their money.
And then there are those who fraudulently receive PPP money for greed.
We had individuals, that claim they had cattle farms, pig farms, hairdressing salons out of their houses. They sold hair. They had medical transport services, just home health type services, oil field services, you name it.
And Brown says he has a team of prosecutors combing through records. The goal is to reclaim taxpayer money.
They never had employees. They've never had a business type structure. And we have an investigator in-house that is looking at bank records every day, is looking at these applications every day, and every day referring cases to our criminal division or our civil division. So we're on it.
He's urging those who may have fraudulently obtained a loan to come forward before his office finds you. Brown says depending on your criminal history and the loan amount, his agency may be able to work something out like repayment or taking it out of your tax refund.
And I would hope they would come forward and talk to us about what's taking place, and we go from there. If they don't come forward, then stay tuned.
In Shreveport, Dominique Ben, KSLA News 12.
But they didn't do anything with it. They didn't buy nothing. Hell, they could have, with that money they got from the feds, they could have went legitimate. They could have bought legitimate businesses, and did it right and paid them folks their money back. But a lot of them, they used it to buy drugs, alcohol, buy excessive amount of drugs to put on the streets to kill little kids, children, and grown folks too. But it is what it is, though. They ought to lock their ass up, and I mean lock their ass up.
Low country man accused of trying to work the COVID-19 recovery system. Devontae Thames is now charged with multiple counts of conspiracy and fraud. Records show he may have been profiting, especially through a now defunct nonprofit. Our Caroline Balchunas spent the day working for you to investigate the potential ploy.
Federal investigators say Devontae Thames received a PPP loan last year totaling more than $400,000. They say he secured the loan through the Bernetta E. Thames Foundation, a nonprofit he founded in memory of his grandmother to help breast cancer survivors. According to the arrest affidavit, Thames worked with an unnamed South Florida resident to fraudulently secure the loan. Turns out, the charity was only active in South Carolina for about a year. The foundation was registered in February 2019. By May 2020, the charity status expired after failing to provide the state with financial records from its first year. Days later, according to an affidavit, a PPP loan application was submitted, and by the end of the month, the money was in the account of the foundation. The charity partnered with MUSC's Hollings Cancer Center for a fundraiser in June 2019. Today, an MUSC official told us they never heard back from the foundation after the event. I reached out to Thames this afternoon. He declined to comment on the charges and referred us to his lawyer. I contacted his lawyer, a public defender, who also told us no comment. Working for you, Caroline Balchunas, ABC News 4.
And we also received Thames' criminal background check from SLED moments ago. There is an arrest in 2014. Thames was charged with financial identity fraud. There are also traffic, drug, and weapon-related arrests from 2014 to 2018.
But yeah, And for that, they got this forgiveness program. It's so strange because there's a lot of people that I know a lot of people that got these loans. They got these loans, and obviously, them people know that they didn't have a business, but they still forgave those loans. I don't understand that. It's people that got away with tons of money. They forgave the loans. Then a lot of people, they got $10,000, $20,000, and they popped them. They popped their ass. So there's no set amount. It really isn't. There's been a lot of new arrests last several weeks on the PPP loan scam. Quite a few people are getting that early morning knock on the door because they chose to not do the right thing. They chose to lie about their current business status. They didn't have a business, so there wasn't a status. But the FBI, the feds are not gonna rest until they get a lot of these bad actors in custody. Because it's serious. When you robbing the federal government, the system isn't perfect. The system will never be perfect. But they out there knocking on doors right now. So if you get that strange knock on the door and you look through your little Ring camera and you see all these dark colored vehicles with the windows tinted, and you got that PPP loan, and you didn't have a business, you lied on your application, you fabricated everything. You fabricated everything except that information on your checking account where you were looking for that direct deposit. You know what I'm saying? But you know who you are.
His targets, COVID relief fraudsters, people and businesses that allegedly knowingly violated the $800 billion Paycheck Protection Program, meant to allow struggling businesses to keep paying employees during the pandemic.
I'm looking for low-hanging fruit, something that's simple and straightforward, double dipping, for example. And I found some that would get 2 loans in the first round, 2 loans in the second round. You can't do that.
So Quesenberry, a government attorney by day, has what he calls a side hustle, scouring publicly available data, looking for loan applicants who he believes broke the rules.
That bothers me. That's my tax money, your tax money.
If the government takes on one of Quesenberry's cases and succeeds in clawing back money, a percentage goes to Quesenberry. The Paycheck Protection Program, known as PPP, was one part of the $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill called the CARES Act, passed by Congress and signed by then-President Trump in 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Last month, I asked Congress to pass the Paycheck Protection Program, giving small businesses emergency economic relief to keep workers on the payroll.
It was intended to be a program to give people money that they needed in desperate times. The emphasis at that time was ensuring that businesses were able to operate.
Britt Biles, former White House counsel during the Trump administration, supervised the regulations and guidance surrounding the PPP and helped design the review and forgiveness program. She spoke to us exclusively.
It was set up on a self-certification process by the borrowers. It was based on good faith certifications that they needed the money and that they were eligible.
The need for speed saw the Small Business Administration execute over 14 years worth of lending in just 14 days.
So you could apply and essentially your word was taken at face value.
Correct.
Did that stoke alarm for you?
Absolutely. Their sole focus was speed. All I was asking for is to ask the right follow-up questions.
How were your concerns received?
Well, let's just say that the rain at the party.
Mike Ware is the Inspector General of the Small Business Administration, the person responsible for oversight of all the SBA's programs, including hunting down fraud in the PPP.
Fraud is willfully putting down on the paper that you had 200 employees when you didn't even have a business. Fraud.
There's been a lot of new arrests.
I'm glad that he pointed this out. I'm very glad that he pointed out what fraud is. The brother, you know, people literally filling out the application and then writing down. Can y'all hear me? Give me a 1. Can you guys hear me? Can I get a 1? Okay, thank you. All right. So I'm glad the brother pointed out what fraud is. People literally filling out paperwork, that had businesses, putting down that they had 200 damn employees. And I'm like, what were they thinking about? Did you not know or even think that the IRS wasn't going to come back and find this out? This is what I mean. What I say when I say I get so angry with that whole Black Moorish sovereign movement teaching of the UCC code fraud and things of that nature. This is what that is too. Even if you didn't apply for the PPP loan, there's other measures of fraud. And this is what gets me angry in our community when you're so vulnerable that you start believing these guys teaching this UCC stuff. First of all, the dudes and girls that's teaching it are not even citizens. They want you need to be in their position in order to commit the fraud. Number one, they're not citizens. So they automatically have to fill out paperwork to get an EIN number to do business in the United States. But they're teaching you, the citizen, and your ancestry history has been citizens since the creation of the Constitution, to now remove yourselves from being a citizen and become a foreigner of not the land, but of the corporation. And by filling out a UCC paper to commit the frauds that they're committing. But see, the IRS is gonna come after them too. So I'm pre-warning you about this. Don't be foolish. Anytime somebody comes to you and teaching the shit that Aton teaches on live at night, I'm telling you, the IRS is going to come for you. Just because they don't come to after you within the first 5 years, don't think they're not coming, because they're coming. And I'm trying to teach you how to be civil, honest citizens, even though fraud comes in many races of people. I'm not just putting it in on our people that's teaching this in these sovereign Moorish movements. But for the sake of me teaching my community in the inner cities not to listen to them and do this. Oh, there's mad people that believe those fake mores. That's why they're still going. And that's why they fight me and hate me so much in YouTube, because I teach against it. Now I'm showing you live of what the consequences are when you get involved with these dudes and these chicks doing this. They ain't discriminating when they come for you, the IRS. They're coming for the people's tax dollars to be put back. So prior to you being a civil, honest citizen, they have put you in a position, bad position, to become an uncivil, scamming, fraudulent citizen of the United States. And this unit was created to come after you. But I'm going to keep it going because I want you to see how you need to get away from these more sovereign movements. It's bad. Let's get it, y'all.
Last several weeks on the PPP loan scam, quite a few people are getting that early morning knock on the door because they chose to not do the right thing. They chose to lie about their current business status. They didn't have a business, so there wasn't a status. But the FBI, the feds are not gonna rest until they get a lot of these bad actors in custody, because it's serious. You know, when you robbing the federal government, you know, the system isn't perfect. The system will never be perfect. But they out there knocking on doors right now. So if you get that strange knock on the door and you look through your little Ring camera and you see all these dark colored vehicles with the windows tinted, and you know you got that PPP loan, and you know you didn't have a business, you lied on your application, you fabricated everything. You fabricated everything except that information on your checking account where you were looking for that direct deposit. You know what I'm saying? But you know who you are.
The feds indict an Erie County man on charges in an alleged PPP loan scheme, also known as the Paycheck Protection Program.
The program was created during the COVID-19 pandemic to help businesses struggling financially. 13 Action News reporter Alexis Means has the details, all new at 6.
The federal court documents claim Daniel Hitland from Erie County is facing federal charges for alleged bank fraud and money laundering of millions in COVID-19 pandemic relief funds. He's accused of submitting 3 false Paycheck Protection Program, also known as PPP loan applications. Federal agents claim Hitland received more than $2.5 million for his businesses, Sailor Sales, LLC, and Daniel Robert Hitland, DRH. He allegedly used the money to buy an $89,000 Escalade, a $49,000 Corvette, $20,000 in Rolex watches, and 2 properties for $418,000 with the pandemic relief money. PPP loans were part of a federal program to provide financial help to business owners struggling financially, suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic. Investigators claim Hitland lied about the number of employees and payroll on loan applications by submitting false payroll documents with his applications. He will be required to forfeit all the property he allegedly bought with the money. Daniel Hitland will face a judge on Monday. In Toledo, Alexis Means, 13 Action News.
And we reached out to Daniel Hitland's lawyer, but he has yet to return our phone call.
A fraud bust today originating from the FBI field office in Omaha. Investigators raided a number of homes in 3 states. 9 of the 11 arrests took place in Omaha. The FBI alleges that Rommel Thompson, who is 58, is the ringleader, helping others to fill out forms for the Paycheck Protection Program and Economic Injury Disaster Loan.
I'm just taking a look at these people's faces. And you better believe these brothers here in this photo could be in YouTube could have been in YouTube behind the cameras that won't cam up. And now you have their real names. You just know their YouTube names. And you don't, this is why I said, when you come in my Chinese Mandarin class, it's, you got a camera up. There's a problem. And the reason why people don't put their cameras on in YouTube, it ain't just because they ugly as hell. It's because they're dirty schemers and scammers and frauds. And the sad thing is our uneducated men and the women in a lot of our communities are looking up to these people as though they're gods because they're broke, at their wits, vulnerable to scums like this. Sorry, but not sorry.
The government money was to help struggling businesses during the pandemic. U.S. Attorney says the individuals were part of a conspiracy to overinflate the number of employees and payroll, essentially bilking the government out of $2.5 million. Those accused will face a judge in federal court tomorrow and Friday.
They do that is a lot of them, in a lot of cases, a lot of them get together with, I know that's not going to sound right, but they get together with legitimate financial lenders who are crooked. And that's who were approving. They was fast tracking that money. They didn't look into it. It's ridiculous.
2 years ago, the aging church was fighting to stay open. It defaulted on a $1.2 million loan for repairs. In 2020 and 2021, arrest papers now show the church's pastor, Homer Altador, getting 3 separate payroll protection program loans for nonprofits connected with the church.
And the loans he got were, our investigation found, undeserved and totaled over $1 million.
The church was torn down after a developer bought the property in 2022. But Pastor Altador's problems resurfaced a year later when Riviera Beach Police and the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office started investigating if the money was really spent to keep people employed and the nonprofits active. According to the arrest report, PPP money was used to buy fast food, gas, car rental, airline tickets, and restaurants, leading to Altador's arrest on fraud and money laundering charges.
The particular person that was arrested created 2 different charities, organizations, businesses, I guess, using the church's address.
No one likes a cheat.
Palm Beach County State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg says his office has charged 5 other businesses, including a luxury car dealer. Also charged, a Delray Beach tax preparer who, according to arrest papers, collected more than $60,000 in PPP loans while he collected unemployment benefits with over $17,000 in expenditures at the Seminole Casino.
It's bad enough to do this to your fellow taxpayers. It's worse when you do it during and after the COVID pandemic.
Dave Bowman, Fox 29 News. We've got you covered.
Let's go. Assist in payroll to keep people employed. You can't tell me that you didn't know that you couldn't buy a Bentley or a Lamborghini or a luxury yacht.
Feds say fraudsters use PPP funds to buy multi-million-dollar homes, luxury sports cars, yachts, even a private jet. And when the FBI came knocking, one woman hid a duffel bag of cash, approximately $400,000, in the bushes behind her house. To date, the Inspector General's oversight of the PPP and COVID-19 EIDL programs has brought 1,437 indictments, 1,070 arrests, and 793 convictions.
How much did you actually make off these PPP loans?
It was substantial.
In an ABC News exclusive, we sat down with someone who was criminally charged with exploiting PPP funds. Diamond Blue Smith made a name for himself in the early 2000s as part of the R&B group Pretty Ricky.
I went from famous to infamous overnight in the snap of a finger.
Smith says the COVID-19 pandemic hit him hard when it forced his group's reunion tour to shut down.
It was devastating, I think, for everybody.
There's a lot of mouths to feed.
A lot of mouths to feed, for sure.
Smith says he was looking for ways to keep making money during the lockdown when he says someone he knew and trusted told him he could help him get a loan.
So he's calling me like, yeah, man, open up your phone. Man, just click right there. Yeah, click it. All right, that's it, man. That's it. I ain't read nothing or nothing.
You said just fill out these forms, and you filled out the forms.
No, I didn't fill them out. They filled them out. They say click the button. All I did was click a button, and that got me in prison.
How much was it?
Like $420 or something.
$426,000.
You didn't have a thought, maybe this is too good to be true?
No, I'm in the music business. We make money like this all the time.
Smith says he paid that man a commission of $200,000 for helping him secure the loan.
So I didn't think nothing of it. All I thought was, let me give him his percentage so I can have done good business.
Prosecutors say Smith then falsely applied for a second loan in his mother's name and received an additional $700,000. Then he says he spoke to his accountant.
He said this was a PPP loan. I said, what was that? He said, this is a government PPP loan.
Prosecutors say Smith was part of a South Florida ring that applied for a total of $35 million in PPP loans.
So where did the money go?
In the accounts.
And then from your account, what'd you spend it on?
I did some charity stuff, gave out money to friends and family like Santa Claus.
The prosecutors in this case said that you had deliberate ignorance of truth, meaning that you just didn't want to know the facts.
That's how they painted it. Me telling you I didn't know, it's hard to believe.
Prosecutors said instead of employee payroll, Smith spent money on purchases like a Ferrari, shopping at Versace, and over $27,000 at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino near Miami.
So you don't apologize for the lifestyle because this is something that you've been leading for a long time now.
That's in my business. A luxury car is what is in the business. Clothing is in the business. Hair, makeup, a stylist, travel expenses. Those are business expenses for the music business.
Smith pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and served a year in federal prison. His mother was never charged. Blue maintains the DOJ targeted him partly because of his profession.
I'm a public figure. For a headline, they prosecuted me.
With link analysis, on that case alone, 30 people were convicted, 30 different people in that same ring. So what do we say about the other 29 people that were in that ring? There was no singling out of anything.
Smith, who now performs under the name Big Money Blue, wrote a song and produced a video about his time in federal prison. Today, he is adjusting to life as a convicted felon, trying to pay back the $1 million he owes to the government and volunteering with others transitioning from prison to public life. He says the money and what he did with it.
Did he just do a pose with his arms folded and tipped his glass? Okay, I'm done.
Was worth the time he served.
It wasn't about me. It's about the people I helped. And I thought about all the people that I helped in the process. It's like sometimes somebody has to sacrifice for other people to survive.
What do you say to someone like that?
I would say that these programs were designed to help hurting small businesses, and that anyone who would use them to enrich themselves fraudulently should be held accountable.
Mo money, mo problems, at least for former Atlanta City Attorney and Democrat Shalitha Robertson. Now, she was just sentenced to 7 years behind bars after being found guilty for pandemic loan fraud over $15 million worth. Robertson gave out this advice in 2023.
Goes back to what I've always told you. Don't ever chase the money. The money will come.
Chase the universe, not the bag.
That's it. Chase your passion, baby. Chase your dream. The money will come.
Yeah, the money will come courtesy of the American taxpayers. Because safe to say, she didn't practice what she preached. In April and May of 2020, Robertson chose to follow the money and fraudulently applied for millions of dollars in government loans for 4 businesses that she owned. And then she hooked herself up with luxury items that came with a very steep price tag, such as a swanky Rolls Royce, a 10-carat diamond ring. And Georgia filings show that she donated $1,000 to Trump prosecutor Fani Willis's Democratic primary election campaign. That donation went through around the same time that Robertson received her massive payouts from the Paycheck Protection Program. Harris, you can't make this up.
No, I mean, when you hear about all the candy that she was raking in, she was rolling like J-Lo before Ben Affleck. You know, is there a fiduciary responsibility of Fani Willis as a district attorney to pay attention to, as then a candidate who's donating to her campaign? Like, when you get a certain amount, are you responsible for looking and seeing where that money came from? And if you are, and something like this hoax, are you also responsible for going after that person? I mean, I have questions for Fani Willis now. Robertson basically answered them all. She chased the money, and she was trying to make sure that the pot was big, so she was trying to tell everybody else, don't chase the money.
Right.
So when she got there and found the money, it'd be waiting for her.
Right. And according to 12 New York jurors, then absolutely every dollar needs to be scrutinized when you're coming about election, right, Kaylee?
Yes.
In politics, there is a drumbeat, like with Harvey Weinstein. When I was at the RNC, they were demanding the DNC pay back the money that was paid to them by Harvey Weinstein in the form of donation. So that is a fair question for Fani Willis. But the audacity of this woman, the Paycheck Protection Program came into place during COVID when I was in the administration, and it was for the purpose of being given to business owners to keep your employees paid, because employees couldn't work. Businesses, we didn't want them to go under. So this PPP program was for that purpose. This woman wrote on a form that she had 4 companies and 427 employees. I looked everywhere. I want to know how many employees she actually had. She clearly didn't have 427. She wanted to go out and buy diamonds.
Well, you can steal the money without any employees, which was part of the fraud, just to be clear. By the way, that program was $1.2 trillion. Just last summer, there was a report that $200 billion possibly was spent in fraudulent claims. PPP, unfortunately.
Yes.
There was the pastor in Minnesota. He said he had 28 employees. He didn't have any. There was a man in Florida. He bought himself a $3 million home, didn't even have a business.
Wow.
I mean, the fraud was massive. So it was meant in a good way, obviously. But look, at the end of the day, Sam Bankman-Fried, all that money that crypto stolen money that he gave to all those politicians in D.C., they're not giving that
was
back.
The other shush fund.
But Lawrence, here's the thing. The government only makes money because of our taxpayer dollars or what it seizes from us. So the good idea wasn't actually a good idea. If they would lessen regulations, that's how businesses thrive and are able to actually make an income. So her getting the free money and everything that people used to crow about and sing about, it is our money that not only goes to the government, but then goes to those fraudulent recipients. And it seems that no one in that party ever appreciates or recognizes that.
They don't understand it, and they're so hypocritical. And this happened all over the country. But what's particularly egregious about her case is part of what her claim to fame is justice, especially in the area. And ATL is the modern day Black Wall Street. She was stealing money from the community that she said that she was advocating for. $15 million that were supposed to go to employment of those Black residents, while still saying under the banner that she's saying no justice, no peace, racial justice. How can you advocate for that and steal from those same people in the area?
Cheryl, authorities say the alleged offenders were able to obtain loans in the range of $20,000. Many of them simply wrote down names of fake businesses on their applications, and some even applied for the loans while sitting in jail. Joliet police, along with federal authorities, announcing the indictment of 25 people who allegedly
All right. I'm just getting a snapshot of these pictures. Now, my thing is this. Look at these pictures, because you might not want to believe this. And I really don't care if you don't believe me, but you got to really understand the purpose of these people coming in YouTube teaching this stuff and why they don't cut their cameras on. You don't know who you're dealing with. Get a great snapshot. These people do not like Sister Bethy. Because I tell you, listen, don't do it. Why have been established since 2020? We don't get no loans. We don't have any employees. This is evil. This is the part that hurts me about our community. Teaching our community to do fraudulent things. And so I used to feel bad when other YouTube channel content creators did not want to vibe with me. But this is why. And, you know, I feel so much better. I sleep at night better because I knew that this day was going to come when we see this kind of stuff. So I feel good keeping my panels just to myself, being on it. And there's a reason why the ancestors pull me away. And now I have a clear understanding why people like this hate me. Because I don't want to do like them.
Frauded the Federal Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, which helped struggling businesses during the pandemic.
These PPP loans, that if they're obtaining them fraudulently, they're taking that money out of the businesses in our local area that actually need them.
The investigation, dubbed Operation Triple P, targeted people arrested for felony weapons offenses who had also applied for unemployment benefits. The investigation was then able to identify those suspected of defrauding PPP.
Getting their application, and part of the prerequisites was they could not have an open felony indictment, which is how we came up with our list of candidates.
Police say some of the alleged fraudsters were already in custody and used phones at the jail to call to complete the fraudulent applications.
That some of the targets bonded out on their felony cases days after receiving their fraudulent PPP loan.
Police say of the 25 indicted individuals, 15 have been arrested and 10 more are still being sought.
Without holding offenders accountable, history has proven that bad actors will shamelessly defraud the government and taxpayers in the name of greed.
PPP loan fraud is hardly unique to Will County. It's a problem nationwide, and currently the federal government is working to recoup billions of dollars in fraudulent payouts.
The feds indict an Erie County man on charges in an alleged PPP loan scheme, also known as the Paycheck Protection Program.
The program was created during the COVID-19 pandemic to help businesses struggling financially. 13 Action News reporter Alexis Means has the details, all new at 6.
The federal court documents claim Daniel Hitland from Erie County is facing federal charges for alleged bank fraud and money laundering of millions in COVID-19 pandemic relief funds. He's accused of submitting 3 false Paycheck Protection Program, also known as PPP loan applications. Federal agents claim Hitland received more than $2.5 million for his businesses, Sailor Sales, LLC, and Daniel Robert Hitland, DRH. He allegedly used the money to buy an $89,000 Escalade, a $49,000 Corvette, $20,000 in Rolex watches, and 2 properties for $418,000 with the pandemic relief money. PPP loans were part of a federal program to provide financial help to business owners struggling financially, suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic. Investigators claim Hitland lied about the number of employees and payroll on loan applications by submitting false payroll documents with his applications. He will be required to forfeit all the property he allegedly bought with the money. Daniel Hitland will face a judge on Monday. In Toledo, Alexis Means, 13 Action News.
And we reached out to Daniel Hitlin's lawyer, but he has yet to return our phone call.
And now to the alleged criminals looking to exploit the COVID-19 crisis and the trillions of dollars in government relief. The Justice Department today disclosed details of what it calls a historic effort to crack down on these COVID-related scams. Here's a look by the numbers. The DOJ says it's charged 474 defendants with fraud schemes connected to the pandemic who collectively tried to scam $569 million from individuals and the U.S. government in 56 federal districts all over the country. At least 120 of those defendants are charged with Paycheck Protection Program fraud. Now, one Texas man pled guilty to fraudulently obtaining more than $17 million in PPP funds by filing more than a dozen loan applications and then using the money to buy homes, jewelry, and luxury cars. More than 140 defendants have been charged with federal unemployment insurance fraud since the pandemic began. Now, one of them pled guilty to scamming more than $499,000 in jobless benefits. And finally, a whopping $580 million. That's what the DOJ and Secret Service say they've seized from people who've defrauded a federal loan program meant to help small businesses and charities. Sickening.
Oh my God. As neighbors in this Florida suburb sipped their morning coffee today, Josh Edwards was led away in handcuffs. His father, Evan, following soon after. According to a 6-count federal indictment, Josh Edwards lied on an application for a PPP loan back in April 2020 to keep the family's Christian ministry afloat during the pandemic. Asking for $6 million, the government approved a loan for $8 million. Edwards claimed there were nearly 500 employees and $2.7 million in payroll expenses. Both claims were false, according to prosecutors. Instead of setting up a ministry to help the poor, the Edwards tried to put a down payment on this $3 million house near Disney World. NBC News profiled the case back in June,
including one Florida-based family ministry that received millions of taxpayer dollars to pay employees.
The Secret Service was on to the Edwards in September 2020. The loan application was signed off by an 88-year-old accountant suffering from dementia, and there were no signs of any employees at the ministry's office, according to court records. When agents tried to confront the family of 4, the cars were gone.
Police were waiting on this highway on-ramp for the Edwards as they headed north. When they stopped them, the father said that they were on their way to a conference in Texas, but he couldn't provide any details. And according to the authorities, in the back seat, there was a paper shredder the family bought the week before and garbage bags filled with shredded documents.
But the family was eventually let go, and although the money was seized, there were no criminal charges. We knocked on their door a year and a half later. Neighbors telling us they still lived there. The U.S. Attorney's Office did not comment on why it took so long to indict the Edwards. An attorney for the father and son had no comment, while a judge ordered they get medical and psychiatric evaluations.
So, Stephanie, is it clear why they are acting now?
Well, you know, Lester, a source familiar with the investigation tells us that our previous reporting on this story led authorities to prioritize the case. And it's one of many. Of the $800 billion that went out in PPP loans, experts estimate that $80 billion of it went to fraudsters.
All right.
The feds are now using AI tools to identify and arrest and indict and send to prison those who unlawfully took the public's money, claiming they had businesses. And a lot of them are homeless now. Duh.
That at least $100 billion in COVID relief loan funding earmarked to help small business owners make payroll was stolen by fraudsters.
And that's who were approving. They was fast tracking that money. They didn't look into it. It's ridiculous. I know people who got a lot of money, couples who got a lot of money.
Tonight, we're relaunching one of our longtime series that you may remember called The Fleecing of America. Over the last 2 years, the federal government approved a historic $5 trillion in pandemic assistance for struggling Americans, small businesses, and healthcare providers. But now investigators say hundreds of billions have been lost to fraud. This $3.5 million Florida mansion seized by the IRS was bought with taxpayer dollars that were supposed to rescue American jobs and small businesses. Instead, according to law enforcement, it funded a swim-up bar and a horse stable. The buyer got $7 million from the federal government, allegedly claiming he had 400 employees. According to prosecutors, he had none.
But yeah, the way they do that.
Okay, 400 employees. So he had 400 employees working on his damn plantation. I'm done, man. This is just horrible.
It is. A lot of them, in a lot of cases, a lot of them get together with, I mean, I know that's not going to sound right, but they get together with legitimate financial lenders who are crooked. By the time I found out about it, the crooks had stole all the money. Which is unfortunate for me and for a lot of well-deserving people who have legitimate businesses. You know, they ought to lock them up, throw away the keys. But yeah. And for that, they got this forgiveness program. It's so strange because there's a lot of people that I know a lot of people that got these loans. They got these loans, and obviously, them people know that they didn't have a business, but they still forgave those loans. I don't understand that. You know, it's people that got away with tons of money. They forgave the loans. But then a lot of people, they got $10,000, $20,000, and they popped them.
The Avazian case was a family affair. According to court documents, Richard and his wife, Marietta Terabellian, adopted fake identities and secured at least $18 million in PPP loans. They are alleged to have used their illegally obtained loans to purchase gold coins, luxury watches, and homes in the Golden State before their arrest in October 2021. Richard was sentenced in absentia to 17 years, while his wife was sentenced to 6 years. Both are awaiting extradition. According to official filings in another case, Andrew Marnell pled guilty to securing $8.5 million through fraudulent claims and then used the money to make risky stock market bets while gambling away hundreds of thousands more at casinos in Las Vegas. A hearing for his sentencing is scheduled in July.
You selfishly took it literally out of the mouths of babes.
Nancy Calamusa is the owner of a small business that helps feed infants with medical issues. She was denied PPP loans multiple times and ultimately had to downsize her vital business.
You took it out of my patients' mouths, my pocket, my employees, and that's not okay.
It was definitely a widespread problem from the start of the program.
Hannibal Mike Ware is the Inspector General of the Small Business Association. He raised early warnings about the hundreds of billions of dollars in COVID relief loans the administration was tasked with dispersing.
I don't believe that a proper control environment has to be sacrificed at the altar of speed.
We believe transparency is the best disinfectant.
Mo money, mo problems, at least for former Atlanta City Attorney and Democrat Shalitha Robertson. Now, she was just sentenced to 7 years behind bars after being found guilty for pandemic loan fraud over $15 million worth. Robertson gave out this advice in 2023.
Goes back to what I've always told you. Don't ever chase the money. The money will come.
Chase the universe, not the bag.
That's it. Chase your passion, baby. Chase your dream. The money will come.
Yeah, the money will come courtesy of the American taxpayers. Because safe to say, she didn't practice what she preached. In April and May of 2020, Robertson chose to follow the money and fraudulently applied for millions of dollars in government loans for 4 businesses that she owned. And then she hooked herself up with luxury items that came with a very steep price tag, such as a swanky Rolls Royce, a 10-carat diamond ring. And Georgia filings show that she donated $1,000 to Trump prosecutor Fani Willis's Democratic primary election campaign. That donation went through around the same time that Robertson received her massive payouts from the Paycheck Protection Program. Harris, you can't make this up.
No, I mean, when you hear about all the candy that she was raking in, she was rolling like J-Lo before Ben Affleck. You know, is there a fiduciary responsibility of Bonnie Willis as a district attorney to pay attention to, as then a candidate who's donating to her campaign?
Seems to be pretty
Like,
much
when you get
repeating
a certain
itself.
amount, are you responsible for looking and seeing where
We
that
already
money
seen
came
that.
from? And if you
Let's
are,
see
and
if I can
something like
speed it
this
up.
hoax, are you also responsible for
the federal government. You know, the system isn't perfect. The system will never be perfect. But they out there knocking on doors right now. So if you get that strange knock on the door and you look through your little Ring camera, and you see all these dark colored vehicles with the windows tinted, and you know you got that PPP loan, and you know you didn't have a business, you lied on your application, you fabricated everything. You fabricated everything except that information on your checking account where you were looking for that direct deposit. You know what I'm saying? But you know who you are.
His word is his will.
When the pandemic hit, Canadian Joshua Edwards asked the U.S. government to help his family's ministry stay
Oh, we
afloat.
already seen
He said
it.
they needed
So
$6 million to keep paying more than 450.
I'm going to stop this particular video right here. Okay. So here's the link. If anybody wants to rewatch that, you could watch it. I played that purposely because I really want people to open their eyes when people approach you. And a lot of us in YouTube have been approached by people who seem to be legitimate, and you know, begin to believe in what they tell you could get. But at the end of the day, it is fraud. And I'm speaking, and I'm going to stand on this, and I'll say it and continue to say it. I am against these sovereign movement individuals. They're Moors, Black Moors, or whatever you want to call them, sovereign movement, these UCC fraud, using this paperwork, the Social Security fraud. I'm against all that. And this is why I have my segment to lecture, to warn you ahead of time. And I was like really bashed and fighting with other YouTube content creators about this fraud stuff. And a lot of this is happening. Now the consequences from me, and it's just something in my spirit that keep me at such anger with these Black Moors, sovereign movement individuals, teaching this paperwork to vulnerable folks in the inner city hoods. I mean, you got a vulnerable individual in the inner city. I understand you're broke, you're at your wits, you can't get a job, you want to get over the hump, you want some, you know, some type of relief from poverty and just struggling. We all suffer those things as normal citizens. We do. But I have always stood on it, and I'm still going to stand on it today, no matter what. Do not listen to these sovereign people who say, oh, I'm not a Moor, but you're doing exactly and teaching exactly what they go in behind the scenes in YouTube and teach. And you know what? I'm so happy that I'm able to show the FBI in action on these people, because now light bulbs are going off in their heads because they just started these arrests. These arrests ain't from back in 2020 and 21. It's going on 5 years later now. And now the arrests are being made. And I don't feel bad for teaching against what the Moors teach. and these sovereign movements teach in YouTube. Because now they're getting to see the IRS, FBI in action. Call me an agent all you want. I'm going to take a bow for that. Because if calling me an agent makes you feel good, and it makes me feel even better, because I can say that I honestly was in YouTube teaching this since 2020 not to do this, because I know that this is not right to do. When chicks hated me, brought people against me in YouTube, I went through all of that. And it is so, today I can stand here and say it was so worth it to be hated in YouTube back then and be hated today, just because I teach what I teach on my channel. And I'm never going to stop. See, I don't go and control other people's channel. I sit back in the chat and watch. But when I know people are up against something that's going to harm them later, I try to stop it. So call me an agent all you want. I'm proud of where I worked and who I've worked for. I don't think I made a mistake in who I'm working for today. Am I an FBI employee? No. I work for a local state government, but this has nothing to do with my state job. Nothing. This is my part-time job that I'm working. Goes with my newspaper, Copper Color Chronicles. And by the way, you'll be getting your new article today. Your newspaper today, the newspaper. It'll be emailed to you today if you went online and paid for the subscription for today, for this month. And I'm going to keep teaching this. I don't care. I used, like 2 or 3 years ago, I used to like feel really, really bad at night for teaching harshly against the Moors and their movement and their paperwork fraud. But I feel so good about it now. And I don't regret it. And I'm going to continue to teach against it. Right? A light bulb should come on in your head when Moors teach you that because a judge brought actions against you or arrest you, you have a right to file a lien against them and a lawsuit against them and file liens against individual FBI agents. When they're teaching you to do this, a light bulb should come up on in your head. A judge is doing its job. So now you feel like you have a right to go and sue the judge. Judges are immune. They have immunity. They're doing their jobs. And you're tying up the courtrooms with your foolish rhetoric, making yourself look like a total fool when you go before a judge behind telling them that you're sovereign. If you're sovereign, why are you filing paperwork in United States courts? If you're sovereign, why are you in United States filing paperwork? Court system. That makes no sense. That should tell you something right there. A judge came on my panel and said, I asked him, are individuals sovereign? He said, no. There are no individual sovereign beings in the United States. That's foolishness. So anyway, I ran it on about that. So now the next thing we want to get into is the updates on Trump's mass deportation. So let's listen to this a little bit and see what's going on here. It's only like 3 minutes long. And why so many things are happening now with these fools running people over.
President Xiomara Castro has responded to Donald Trump's threats of mass migrant deportations once he becomes president. In a national broadcast on New Year's Day, she said if he sends Hondurans back home, she could kick the US out of military bases in her country.
Frente a una actitud hostil
In the face of a hostile attitude of mass deportation of our people, we'd have to consider a change in our policy of cooperation with the United States, especially in the military field, where for decades they've maintained bases in our territory without paying a penny, which in this case would lose all reason to exist in Honduras.
Mass deportations are a big worry for Honduras. More than 500,000 of the country's people live in the states without legal status, according to official US figures. Many send much needed remittances back home. Now Castro is putting into play the presence of US forces, particularly in Sotocano, a Honduran airbase. They've been there since the 1980s, tasked with, among other things, counter-narcotic operations. Fellow Latin American President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico was asked about Castro's comments on Thursday. She responded briefly.
We talked to the president of Honduras some days ago. We're putting forward the idea of a meeting of foreign ministers of several countries in January to talk about the subject of migration and how the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean can cooperate to attend to its causes.
Sheinbaum's dealing with her own demands from Trump that Mexico stops the flow of migrants to the US. If it doesn't, Trump says the US will impose 25% tariffs on all Mexican goods. These are all words for now, threats from a man who's not yet US president and responses from other countries to situations that are as yet hypothetical. But it is noticeable that the Mexican government, while measured and restrained, is sending signals that it's not going to be as pliant as last time Trump was in power. Honduras, meanwhile, seems to be going a step further. But Honduras is one of the smallest and most impoverished countries in Latin America. Does it really have the power to resist the US? One of Castro's political rivals and an ex-member of her government had this to say.
If the U.S. decides to close the tap on the $30 million that come into the country daily from the states, it would kill us with hunger.
The real confrontations or negotiations will come, of course, after January 20th, when Donald Trump becomes President Trump once again. John Holman, Mexico City, Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel.
Okay. So we got a little update on mass deportations. I'm going to stop here for a second to just speak my freedom of speech on the whole ordeal. I do believe that there will be mass deportations. It seems like people are getting more crazy as we push closer to Trump stepping in office. And, you know, I'm very happy that he became president. I am very happy. And I do want to see the mass deportations. We need space in our country. I do believe that if they're going to do mass, and this is only my personal thought, I have no experience in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, any of the militias. But I do have common sense. And when you're saying mass deportations, I know they have their strategies, and they're not going to tell you what their strategies are, of course, because you can't tell them how they're going to handle the mass deportation situations. But if I had to think on my feet quickly on how to handle mass deportations, I would put all 50 states under martial law. Okay. You have to go back working from your home, or you'll have limited access. You know, you'll only be able to go to work and come back home due to safety measures of them conducting a mass deportation. I think that all 50 states should be under martial law, and so that they can protect us for safety measures. And I hope they don't do it. I don't think that it would be a successful mass deportation if they did it by the individual sanctuary states, because people, if you do it by the individual states one individual state at a time to mass deportate, they're not going to do nothing but run to the next closest state to evade the deportation. That's why I say, I mean, I don't know what their strategies are. And I really hope that they give us some visuals of it being done, the deportations being done, and that they're not fake deportations. I hope it's very real when they say that they're going to do the mass deportations. I just think that the country should be under martial law, you know, for that period until the mass deportations have been completed. You know, I'm not talking about lock us up like they did with COVID, but a certain, if they're going to do mass deportations at a certain part of the day, perhaps that's the time. It should be a curfew that we be in the house so that we're safe from them conducting these mass deportations, because people are going to flee to different states to evade. And we probably will see governors being arrested, because I showed you a couple of weeks ago on how other governors were arrested because they were aiding and hiding fugitives, providing them shelter and things of that nature. And that can be done. Governors can be arrested. Mayors can be arrested in these sanctuary cities if they don't cooperate. And it's true. So I hope that we're able to see these live deportations under the Trump administration being conducted, where we can watch them remove these invaders of our country. Again, I think if I had to think on my feet, because like I said, I've never been in the armed forces, but I can only think of safety when it comes for the people, that the 50 states should be under martial law, strict law, until these deportations are carried out. So it's going to be very interesting to see. So I'm moving along. I've been down here 2 hours. I'm hoping to be out with my segment to be done. The last thing that I wanted to cover was to talk about the non-population schedules of the United States Census. And, you know, should I keep moving on? Do you want me to get into the non-population schedules and to study it and how to make sense of it, and a lot of things that you can point out that's just, like I said, our history is right in our face. Who we are is right in our face. And you get a better understanding of your history when you clear your mind of indoctrination and people teaching you all through YouTube. Oh, this is Egypt, and just stick with the basics and you'll have less headaches. So give me a 1 if I should move on, and I could give you some pointers in when you're doing your research, pointers and studying and evaluating documents that were written and rewritten, and you know the important things to point out. Give me a 1 if I should move on with the study of the non-population schedules, because they're very important, whether you want to believe it or not, and we're going to look at that. Give me a 1 if I should go ahead on, or I should pause it. Give me a 2 if I should do it tomorrow. If I see more 1s, I'm going to move on and do it. If I see more 1s, we got 1,026 people watching live. So give me some 1s and I'll move on to the non-population schedules of the census. I'll wait and see what your responses are. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1s. Gotta have more than that, or so I'm just gonna end the show and do it tomorrow. The more 1s I see, I'll go ahead and move on. Okay. I see you twice, St. Louis. You only need to do it once. Come on, you guys. I need to know if you want me to move on to the study of them schedules. I want to teach you how to research the proper way. Interesting. All right. So give me a minute. Let me go get a water. All right. We see more ones. Okay. Give me a minute, guys. I'm just going to go and grab some water. I'm also getting hungry. And I'll be right back. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I had to go, and sometimes I just drink a very hot cup of water because I've been so bad with my acid reflux, y'all. I've been eating stuff I ain't supposed to eat. And now I'm suffering the consequences. I just ran up 13 flights of stairs. I'm out of breath. And I just drink hot water. Nothing in it, just hot water. Because it goes down and it pushes everything. All right, so let's get into the population schedules. Let's get it. When you're researching. Now, this is the non-population schedules of the United States Census. And it's from, and I will give you a copy of this. It's Cass County Public Library in the genealogy branch and the basics. And it speaks about what are non-population schedules of the federal census. Now, you got to remember, we were not always part of the colonial states, and we were, remember, in 1830, where I showed you, those that didn't want to go to Oklahoma remained, and they automatically became citizens of their state of residence. And that's a fact, because you were like, all right, you know, it's another thing to consider and understand. Well, where did all those millions, might as well say, of Indians go? That, because certainly all the Indians did not go to Oklahoma. First of all, there was already Indians there in Oklahoma. All right. But they didn't squish all the Indians in Oklahoma. No, that was just those that wanted to go. And when you're in Oklahoma on the Indian reservation, you're Indian. But when you're off the land, you're not. It's just like really weird. So what befalls of the Indians that stayed and said, no, I'm not leaving? There's you're talking now in Reconstruction period. What happened to all of them? They didn't die. They just are no longer being identified as that. But they got like 8, 9 different other race identities that they've went through in history. So here we go. So what are non-population schedules of the federal census? Non-population schedules or special schedules of the census were designed, I should be reading this in bigger, were designed to gather statistical information on a specific group, y'all, within the overall population. Listen, y'all. You got to understand, is there such a specific group? Why can't you say who that specific group is? You've got to know. They are referred to as non-population to distinguish them from the decennial, once every 10 years, federal census that enumerates the entire population of the United States. The schedules covered in this handout include, now look at the bullets: agricultural, manufacturing, mortality, veterans, Indian population inquiries, slave, dependent, defective, and delinquent classes, social statistics. So now this is interesting. Do you see that they only mention one race of people? Can you please understand, like the same race that they mention in the Constitution, and they're not taxed. Can you tell me if you see that? That is not an error. Because they don't say, like they say on the Reconstruction papers, black people, white people, colored people, they say Indian population inquiries enslaved. These is the non-population schedules of the U.S. Census. Who do you understand that the non-population schedules are the farmlands that people lived and worked on? Either they managed them, some stayed on their own home farms that they've always maintained, and some left home and went and managed other farms that were owned by other people and managed and supervised people in the field. But you better believe these non-population people, Indians and slaves, hello. I'm just letting that sit there. They're only talking about Indian and slaves. Indians enslaved Indians in the South and the North. Indians enslaved Indians. These are non-population schedules. Who the hell worked on these non-population schedules? Don't let me pull one up. Indians, that was the life. That was the system prior to the industrialization. They stayed doing what they were doing. They were non-population. Many of these schedules feature questions that focus on answering demographic or statistic questions that the government had at the time and not with future genealogists in mind. Because of this, these schedules may not provide detailed vital information, but they will add context to your pre-existing information and might even open up new directions for your research. Also, if you cannot find an ancestor on the federal census, but you have a schedule record for the same year, you can use the information provided in it to locate the census record. The benefits of the schedules. If your ancestor was enumerated on the federal census as a farmer, the agricultural schedules may help build a clear understanding of how large the farm was and what he or she grew on it. If your ancestor's occupation was enumerated as a confectioner on the federal census, the manufacturing schedules may help you learn how lucrative their sweet business was. If your ancestor died too early for a death record to have been created, but it was the year prior to a census when a mortality schedule was taken, you might find information on their death there. If your ancestor was a veteran prior to 1890, you might be able to use the veteran schedule of the 1890 as an alternative to the destroyed 1890 federal census records. The destroyed 1890 federal census records. Agricultural schedules. The schedule of the census focus on enumerating the value of and production on farmland on a farm by farm basis. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I'm going to read that again. The schedule of the census focus on enumerating the value of and production on farmland on a farm by farm basis. The 1850 to 1870 schedules consist of 2 pages. 1880 is 1 page. Question asked by these schedules include proprietor of the farm, cash value of the farm, amount in acres of land, value of farming implements, number of livestock by type, and total value, value of animals slaughtered, number and value of crops by products and manufactured goods produced in the last 12 months. Now, not all states were enumerated, and not all states were enumerated every year between 1850 and 1880. Records for these schedules are available for the following states: Alabama, California, Connecticut, I can read this, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Washington Territory. Not every farm was enumerated on this schedule. For 1850 and 1860, small farms that produce less than $100 worth of products, including crops, livestock, and byproducts like sugar, molasses, honey, were not enumerated. For 1870 and 1880, the criteria was at least 3 acres of land and $500 worth of products. Note, if you are searching for a farmer ancestor who lived in a state that was enumerated in the schedule, but were unable to find them, this could be due to the typical spelling variation or transcription issued with searching the census. Or it could be because your ancestor's farm was too small to meet the requirements outlined. Now we move down here. Here we go. The first page of the 1860 schedule. The names, and you can, the headings are what's important. Very important. Simple. It's a tracking of your and showing you. You can look at these lines. Let me see. I can't make it any bigger. But the column headings, you read them. I'm not going to go through all this. Seriously. But you get the drift. You got the manufacturing schedules. And they give you the states. See, this is what the Pan-Africans fail to understand. But all in all, so they give you a little example. I'll just go through this little example. Let me put it down here. So an example from the 1870 manufacturing schedule for Gravesend, Kings County, New York. Carl Anderson, he was a fisherman. 2,000 capital invested. 3 boats, 4 lines, 3 male employees. $600 paid in wages produced 15,000 cod and 10,000 bluefish. Yo, this was not what you always were taught working on the plantations to be. They were jobs. We worked our own farmlands. A lot of us had large farms, some of us had small, and didn't meet the criteria to even be numerated. Number 3, Bernard Blacksmith. There he is, number 3. Number 3, he was a blacksmith, $100 capital invested. He had 3 male employees, not slaves, employees. Paid $1,000 in wages, produced $2,000 worth of goods. Thomas Hewitt was a grist mill, $200 of capital. These are non-population schedules. Thomas Hewitt was a grist mill, $200 capital invested, water-powered machines, 30 horsepower, one employee, and produced 2,000 of horse feed and flour. You got the 1800 schedule. Grew different things on your farms for the economy. In this particular one, they grew wildflowers. People have funerals and stuff. All these are jobs. So when you see these schedules, don't listen to the pandoodles, because I'm not going to go through all this. It's like, how many pages? 16 pages. And I don't need to go through this. Free inhabitants. Okay. Anderson Cairo. Let me see. I think I did this already. Let's see. These are the mortality schedules. There's a lot of states here. Mortality. Male, Edward Smith, age 13. Male, white, single. Birthplace, Virginia. Father's birthplace and mother's birthplace. I tell you guys, that's so important. Because when you look at the schedule for an ancestor, don't forget they got mothers and fathers. The head of the household. Their mothers and fathers. That puts them here. Because if they're born in 1880, then you got to take 20 years off of 1880, at least. Because then you're down to 1860. You know their parent was born here in 1860. I tell you, that's so valuable. And then when you look at the 1860, you got the head of household, and he tells you where their parent was born. So now that what takes you back, if they're born in 1860, you got to take 20 years off of that because their parents were born in Virginia. So now that's bringing you down to 1840. You keep going all the way back. Every time a family member tell you that their parent that was head of household tell you that their parent was born, you're continuously taking at least 20 years off to put their family here on this land. That's why I said census sheets talk about your history. Next thing you know, every time somebody, a head of household, tell you where their parent was born, now you're in 1800. And that person is saying, my father was born in South Carolina. So now we're in 1800. So now you got to take 20 off of that. That puts you at 1790 that they were here. Then when you get to 1790 census, which is the first census, and that head of household says, oh, my father was born in South Carolina. What? Oh, really? In 1790, your parents, I know they're dead now. Yep. So now you, guess what? You take 20 years off of 1790. Now you at 1770. You're here before Your damn parents, look, was here. But if you're 1790 census and they're telling you on the census, oh, yeah, my dad was born when my parents were born in whatever state, don't matter what state, in 1790. My parents were born here too. So you're head of household in 1790. So you're all bet of 20 years old, probably. And when the census came around, oh yeah, my mother and father was born, and we're in 1790. And you're about 20 years old in 1790. So if you was born, you wasn't born in 1790, but you're a head of household. So go all the way back, take 20 years from 1790. What does that give you? 1750. God damn. You was just born in 1750. And your parents was born before that. And you said your parents were born. When you turned 20, you noted my parents were born in, let's say, freaking Texas. Wow. So if I was born in 1750, I got to take 20 years off of 1750. That brings you back to 1730. Don't forget about now, here your parents are here, your ancestors are here, and they were born in 1730. They're here before the damn Revolutionary War. I told you that these records are indeed very important, because now you learning. Look at there. I mean, why didn't they put another race beside Indian and slave? Hello. I mean, I can go further, keep going and going and going on with the non-population census. But why bother? We done already went through the census and how your family was here before foreigners today, grandchildren, are writing about your history. And wait a minute, you have proof that your ancestors was here even before the Revolutionary War. Because you got census records that says their parents were born here. That's how your body's here. And that's why those non-population schedules only mention the Indians and the slave, because Indians enslaved Indians. And I'm not going to just keep playing with y'all. You're just going to keep playing. Those that wish to remain will become citizens of their state of residence. And a lot of our family was on farms. That's why they're called non-population schedules. This is why we have an attitude with today's foreigners coming around in our communities trying to tell us who we are. And now, this is no hate towards Africans. But baby, we got history here before the Revolutionary War even started. Revolutionary War, not the Civil War. Because we got censuses that puts us here prior to the Revolutionary War. And you just got here in 1900 from a foreign country, and you think you're going to come in YouTube and teach about my history when I was here, when we were here, before they even wrote the damn Constitution. There's so much more that we can teach about and learn about when it comes to our history than debating. Our history is not up for debate. It's facts, because government records tell facts. Some of y'all get mad at this government, but you need to not get mad because they're the ones who got the truth about your history and they're putting it out right now. Your ignorance just keeps you from seeing the truth and understanding the power of your third eye. Common sense. I mean, all I did was pull out the instructions and guidance of the non-population census. They didn't even mention blacks, Negroes, coloreds. They ain't mentioned none of that. But they mentioned the Indian and the slaves. This is because Indians enslaved Indians. Now, this is not to say that other foreigners that have come here, and a lot of us got sick of our family because we get sick of our families now and leave them and move to a whole nother state. We were conducting the same behaviors that our ancestors did, and we're not paying attention to it. You're looking for the Indian, and the Indians, you like the man said, we're still practicing the behaviors that our ancestors did. We Indians, we get sick of our family members and we move to a whole nother state. I know some people who move to a whole nother damn time zone to get away from their family and go work for somebody else. That's what they did back then too. That's why you have folks that are people, Indians, that not owned a farm, but they managed it. They were managers of other people's farms. And they got the way that they got compensated. They had shelter, clothing, and they received some of the proceeds of the harvest, the foods that they planted. So I want to get away from Betty Jean. I'm moving to I live in Virginia, and I want to get away from Betty Jean and them because I'm sick of them. So I'm gonna move to Florida and work with with some folks that I know in Florida that got a farm and they Seminoles. I'm gonna go work with them and manage their farms because I got the experience. I'm from the South. Indians know how to cultivate the land. So they went where they want when they want to get away from people. All right. Yeah, their family own land, but they family is managing the land. So what do? We pack up, leave, and go somewhere else and deal with somebody else. Because most of the time, strangers, complete strangers, treat you better than your own family. So you're moving around with your little non-population status behind. So now, does everybody understand the power in studying things that are far more important than debating? Do you understand just by looking at the non-population schedules how just a little small piece of information, let's get it, hold on, tells a whole damn story? And you're like, oh my goodness. Like, where's the white people on these schedules? Like, here, they're only Indian population inquiries and slaves. They're not talking about anybody else. I'm like, okay, interesting. Now, I'm like, let's go down to the bottom. I don't want to go through all this. Here we go. What's interesting to me in this whole document is the population of people that's been hidden for years, and you never understood who you were on these census. But who did this? The Cass County Public Library and the genealogy branch, 400 East Mechanic Street, Harrisonville, Missouri. Okay? Giving you an understanding of it. I'll put this in the chat room so you can look at it. It'll also be featured in the newspaper. So if you're subscribed to the newspaper, you're going to get a lot of information. I thought this was interesting. I mean, you look at this. Let me do a share screen. I'm looking at this, and it's really cool. Like it's like the pauper and indigent inhabitants in institutions, poorhouses, or asylums, or board at public expense in private house. A lot of this stuff been going on. This is in Waterbury and New Haven, down in my neck of the woods. It's just very interesting to read. So you'll know what happened to all them damn Indians that stayed. Here they go. We were always here the whole time. They just gave us different identities. Deaf, mutes. See? All these horrible names. I mean, like, who were at deaf mutes? Look at this. On this one, it says idiots. A census sheet headed off as idiots. I mean, they did some damage to the Indians. Idiots. A census sheet that lists idiots. Perhaps my name will go on there. So interesting, man. When you're look at this, full blood Indians. Look at this. Phoebe Hatch, Towanda Reservation in Alabama. All righty. Full blood Indian. Seneca. Where is this at? In Virginia. This is like so interesting. Farmhouse. This is in New York. Where is this? Oh, this is in New York too. You find your families. It's telling you blood quantum. Oh, here it's doing it down here. Seneca tribe. Father's tribe, mother's tribe, Seneca, full Indian. So you know when you're one marriage, Hampton, normal at Virginia. Tax, nope, not tax. Residence on own land in civilized dwelling. It speaks. Interesting. So now we get to the Reconstruction records. Reconstruction records. And the shit disappeared. Then you go to being black. See, this is like 1850, 1860. The Indians disappeared and they became black. It's just like, wow. We even call ourselves black back then in 1860. Same schedule 10 years later, but wait a minute, they disappeared. The damn Indians disappeared. And their classes: insane, idiots, deaf, mute, blind, paupers and indigent persons, homeless children, and prisoners. It's just is so interesting. Your history is all here, and it's no reason to debate. It's no reason to debate. Our history is not a debate. Our history is a fact. And the more you read about our history, the more interested you become. Because prior to current Congress dealing with the world, we dealt with the world. So it'd be interesting to go back and learn the things that your families were able to do. Our families were able to do. We did speak other language. That's how we got acquainted with other cultures, other people, and other areas of the continent. So this is why we're having the Mandarin class. And don't forget, my email address is pinned to the top. And we're going to learn the Mandarin. It's good to communicate with other folks. It really is. But I've been going on it now for almost 3 hours. I'm about to get out of here. For real. I'm ready to go. I'm going to go relax. I'm not answering my phone and I'm not answering my text. Seriously, people have a tendency to wait until I get off my live and want to have a conversation. I have a life on Sundays, all right? I'm relaxing for the rest of the day. I really love you guys for coming in, sitting with me, and I hope that I brought some clarity to your brains. I really love y'all, and I want you to do the rewatch. Understand what the non-population schedules are. Indeed, that was the work you did before you were even part of the union. Facts. But I'm hungry. I didn't eat any breakfast. Been drinking hot water. My stomach feel ready, much better now. It's ready to take in food now. I think I fast, if that's what y'all want to call it. But folks, I'm going to get up out of here. I love y'all, and there'll be other people live, but Sister Bethy is out of here. Love y'all, and take it easy. Take it easy, y'all.